Hello, here's what's moving the markets. Trade tensions continue to rise, final straw for Brexit talks before the EU elections, and Bitcoin gains over $1,000 from the weekend. Okay, let's break down the developing news. At the beginning of the trading week, losses are seen across the board amid continued deadlock between the US and China. Towards the end of last week, there was hope that the two sides would find a way to avert any further tariffs. But those talks have taken place without any agreement being made, and now the prospect of another $300 billion of Chinese goods could be targeted. Reports from Trump's administration has suggested China is holding back on negotiations for the next round of the US presidential elections. But Trump has warned that a deal will become far worse for China if it is negotiating during the second term. Meanwhile, the US inflation figures were released slightly below expectations, but prices were in line with the Fed's target level. Headline CPI increased at 2% on a year-on-year basis in April, which is the fastest pace since November 2018, due to the resurgence in fuel prices. The release seems to be aligned with Fed Chair Powell's assessment. The sudden deterioration in the market mood sent stocks lower and pushed the safe haven yen and Swiss franc higher. The New Zealand dollar had the largest loss due to last week's rate cut. So, markets will continue to focus on geopolitical developments, especially with escalation in trade tensions. Brexit talks will continue through this week, although hopes of a deal before next week's European elections are quickly fading. If a deal is not reached, the government would bring forward the withdrawal agreement for a fourth vote in Parliament ahead of the elections. Should this vote fail, as is currently likely, a series of indicative votes would then be held to attempt to find a consensus outcome. Bitcoin surged more than $1,000 this weekend to mark a 9-month high. Bitcoin rose as much as 8% on all 5 members of the Bloomberg Crypto Index. As Bitcoin crosses through $7,000, the question becomes whether we continue to see a bull run. We expect more to come as improving Bitcoin and crypto sentiment is spurring on the market ahead of one of the biggest events in the cryptocurrency calendar, Blockchain Week NYC and CoinDesk's Consensus 2019 event. The headline speakers for these events include US Securities Exchange Commission Jay Clayton and US presidential hopeful Andrew Yang. Looking ahead, the major highlights on the macro data calendar is relatively busy this week, even with a quiet start on Monday. Most attention is likely to fall on employment reports from the UK on Tuesday and Australia on Thursday. From the UK, markets will be looking for the labour market to remain tight, with wages increases set to remain close to post-crisis highs. Meanwhile, from Australia, markets will look to the employment report to try and forecast the RBA's next policy move, with an uptrend in unemployment likely to increase pressure on the central bank to cut rates. Other areas of focus include the second estimate of first quarter GDP from the Eurozone on Wednesday, and in the US, retail sales on Wednesday and consumer sentiment on Friday. Canada will also release its latest inflation numbers on Wednesday. I'll see you in the next Traders Report. Thank you for listening and have a great trading week.